Hello everybody, welcome to State of the SEL for one last time in 2024. I can't believe we have gotten all the way through the year, all the State of the SELs, all the power rankings, all the bad predictions, all of the action. We're down to our final wrap-up show. It's me and TJ on the desk for now. We got a very special guest appearing on the stream in about 10 or so minutes. But TJ, first of all, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I think this is the third different setup that I've been on this show with. So hopefully it'll survive the show today. But glad to be here. I'm ready to talk Rocket League as always.
Heck yeah. Well, different setup or not, it's all the same SEL action. I mean, I think, well, I guess it was 2 weeks ago that we had the finals Wednesday, and I think it went sort of to plan, at least in how it ended up. So for those of you that live under a rock, Brewton-Parker won the fall splits of the SEL, putting them in a great position to qualify for LAN, do well in the spring as well. But, you know, TJ, they won it all. It was close in the grand finals, but the Barons, they took the fall. It's our, what did I say, sixth different winner of a semester. Was that about how you were expecting things to go?
Yeah, I mean, after last semester, we got Brewton-Parker late in the season, and we already knew they were going to be a problem. And then we took all the restrictions off coming into this season. I don't think it was a shocker at all to say that Brewton-Parker was going to win. But that series was a lot closer than I would have ever predicted originally. And I'm very proud of ETSU for how they performed that night.
It was a great grand finals. I was very entertained by it. I put it up on the big screen at the Huntington College facility. I had my the Overwatch team was watching. They were enjoying it. So good grand final. Shout out to both teams for making it entertaining. I pulled up my little comment in the SEL RL General. Keeps the streak alive of 0 repeat semester winners. We have had repeat tournament winners, but technically the LAN doesn't count as a semester winner. So I bent the rules a little bit to have my streak intact. So, you know, it goes all the way back. Season 0, shout out Texas, Aviator and his boys winning there. And Florida, Season 1, J. Russ playing in the SEL still feels like a fever dream. In South Carolina, the legacy team of Cats, AUG, and Solar. And then Kentucky, Florida State, UTK. Now, Brewton-Parker joins that elite company. And TJ, I gotta ask you right now, with everything up in the air about the spring semester, do we get another non-repeat winner in the spring split of Season 5?
I hope so, honestly. I think especially preparing for that LAN in the spring and also fighting for that CECC spot, I really do think that we're going to see another winner. Now, granted, I think it will have to be a new school. I think that if we stayed with the exact same rosters that we had this year, I think Brewton-Parker repeats. So maybe some of those other Southeastern schools can start taking a stab at things.
That's fair. I mean, I've been talking to some schools. We're trying to recruit them into the SEL for the spring split. That CECC partnership is massive for the league, and it's going to be hotly contested. But right now, I mean, Brewton-Parker, I think in a good position. I mean, they are obviously the best team in the SEL right now, but also they're a top 25 team in the overall NACRL landscape, TJ, and there aren't a ton of Southeastern colleges that could come in and displace them easily.
Yeah, I think there's a few Texas schools that we may be praying that join the SEL that might make things a little interesting. But Brewton-Parker, I mean, we talked about it on the finals broadcast plenty of times. Their consistency is something that just simply can't be beat by a lot of these teams. That's the reason why they always are contending at the highest level of CRL. And they were also one series away from main event. And people can't forget about that. They're a team that you just can't mess with.
No, they won DreamHack Atlanta as well. That tournament, they looked. No, they didn't win. They came in second at DreamHack Atlanta.
They got the Game 7.
Sorry, Game 7. You know, if there was an extra game in the grand finals, maybe they end up on top. But either way, like going that close with KSU, that's why I thought they won it for a second there. They looked very good that entire tournament. They looked good all fall. I'm looking forward to spring with them. But East Tennessee State, a team that has finally found a rhythm. I know we talked about it a lot when we were previewing the top 3 teams in the fall split, but I mean, TJ, Etsu found a rhythm here in the last month or so of the fall.
Yeah, really proving themselves. I mean, like you mentioned, we talked about it so much all season. We said, on paper, this is easily a top 2 roster in the entire league, but can they actually get their chemistry down? Not only did they do that, but they really found a way to use it against so many top-level programs. I mean, they made quick work of GMU, UNCC, and Florida. They dropped one game throughout 3 best-of-5s going into grand finals. That's just incredible.
Yep. And I want to pull this up for a second. It includes both Brewton-Parker and ETSU, but for those that don't know, that may be new-ish to the SEL, I keep track of all of our all-time stats in a big spreadsheet, and it's somewhere in the SEL server. I'm sure I'll share it again after I refine it for the fall semester. But I want to draw attention to this table I've got in the middle of the screen right here. All-time win percentage in the SEL. This is across all seasons, and so the teams that have fewer seasons played obviously have a slight edge here, but Brewton-Parker now through 2 full semesters played in the SEL, 85% win percentage, undefeated in groups as well. I mean, this is domination that we have not seen a lot of since the days of Plumber League SEL. And East Tennessee State right there as well. I mean, that playoff run certainly helped them. 81% all-time win percentage. Just one semester, but still, they're our top 2 right here, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, again, very deserved as well. I mean, ETSU, this is their first time coming in, and they made more than a statement. They proved to everybody that they're here to contend for the long run. And as of what we know, that roster is going to stay together for what I hope is at least another full year after the spring. So just a storyline that we'll have to see how it plays out. And they honestly started to chip away at Brewton-Parker to the point where maybe they are contenders for that top spot, but who knows?
Hey, if they keep on the trajectory that they're on right now, I think they absolutely could. I mean, the CCS results, now the SEL results, they were just a team that took some time to warm up into things, I suppose. But while I do have this table up, shout out UTK, as always, 7 semesters in the SEL, and they are still top 5 in all-time win percentage. That is a mark that is not matched by many teams. I mean, Florida State, kind of close, but man, I can't wait to see as this develops. I mean, South Carolina's up there with them as well with their early domination in the Southeastern Esports League. But man, things are changing, but some of those old heads stay in the same, TJ. And we've got some, I don't know if I'm supposed to leak what teams are returning for the spring, but we've got some verbal confirmation that we're keeping UTK and South Carolina and Florida and teams like that. So I'm hyped for continuing the SEC representation in the SEL.
Yeah, I mean, and with the whole implementation of the fee, too, I think we're going to see teams take that group stage and take the entire kind of motion of things a lot more seriously than just kind of showing up for free on a Wednesday and then giving it your best. So I think a lot of that's going to change. I hope that we see a lot of those schools return. I know we're still trying to get that work done on our end. But, I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, the USC team, that Texas roster, that what hopefully will be an okay Tennessee roster, because we have no idea who's going to come in for Tennessee. But I mean, yeah, who knows? But I would expect those rosters to be just fine, especially Florida as well.
And we'll talk about Florida right now. Before that, though, Super Smurf, Radford could be in the SEL archives, but you guys got to compete in the SEL first, is all I'm saying. I reached out to Dove, and I would love to have you guys for the spring, but you gotta do some recruiting for me. I would love Radford though. I want to see you guys in the SEL. We're missing you. We're missing you, Super Smurf. But all right, teams that do compete in the SEL, Florida, TJ, they got 0-3'd and bowed out in third place. And I know it was a chaotic series. I think there was a 7-6 game in there, and all games were 1-goal games, but still an 0-3 loss for the Gators.
Yeah, I'm going to double down on what I said that night. I think that ETSU deserved that series, but it should not have been a 3-0 at all. Every single one of those games, especially with 2 0-second goals, that's just something that I think rarely, if ever, happens in a league setting, especially in a loser's final of all things. So I feel for Florida, but at the end of the day, the game was in their hands, and it did happen in a fashion that I originally called unlucky. But whenever you go back and you look at the tape, I mean, they just crumbled in those late kind of clutch situations.
That is a team, though, in Florida that I'm excited to watch in the spring, especially in leagues like the CCS, because we know they're going to be towards the top in the SEL. But like in a conference-based league, the SEC is wide open right now, and Florida, I think, very easily could win that conference if they have to keep improving. And I mean, they've kind of found their groove, I think, in the overall power rankings of the region. They're a kind of solid, near top of the table team, but not quite at the level I think that can win tournaments. But in the spring, with a semester under their belts, like Hammy Crackers and Larry keep the chemistry building up. True Raid, solid third man. Also, shout out Larry for the sub earlier. Much love, my man. But I mean, TJ, this is also a team alongside East Tennessee State that I think, if they keep improving, can be a threat in the spring.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot on their heels, honestly. I mean, they got that third place spot. They get the points for it. And in terms of the SEC, like you mentioned, I think they kind of got it on lock. I think the only team that on paper can challenge them, I'm going to throw my hat at USC. But I think they have a lot systematically they have to figure out. I think SJT needs to hit like 1900 for them to be true contenders at the top of the SEC. But outside of that, I can't really think of a team that's immediately going to give them problems. So I think if you're Florida, I think your eyes aren't behind you as much as they are in front of you.
Yeah, A&M maybe. That might be it if they stay at the same level. But that we'll discuss that come January when the CCS season is kicking up again. But you know, I know we're supposed to wrap up the playoffs. We've talked a lot about the playoff bracket. I want to get Mylk in here to discuss the playoffs and SEL and Brewton-Parker and everything. But before we move on to the next topic, so for those watching right now, as SJT's watching, he called you out. He has hit 1900.
Oh, I didn't know that.
All right, you got to hit 2K now, SJT. That's the next goal for you. But we're going to do a short break really fast. You can all enjoy those break screens that I worked very hard over the weekend to get set up again. As I set up the cameras with Mylk on State of the SEL. So don't go too far. We will be right back. All right, I think everything is good. Oh yeah, I got creative with the background of Mylk's camera, but we have Mylk on State of the SEL, hot off a big semester win. I mean, it's the first it's the first win for Brewton-Parker in the SEL after, I think top 6 in the spring, at land top 3. But you've been here for all of that. We were talking about that earlier, Mylk. How you doing, first of all, and second of all, what does the win mean to you?
I mean, I'm doing great. Just got back from traveling yesterday, back to college.
Nice.
I'm doing great. The win's amazing. Feels good. We haven't won too many leagues. We've always struggled. Especially with NACE and ECAC recently, facing really tough talent. So yeah, it's been rough. It's good to get some wins under our belt now.
Hey, you brought a trophy like that. The semester winners get trophies, so you guys will have that forever enshrined in the facility, which you're in right now.
Yes.
I love it. I love the dynamic background. Are the rest of the BPC guys around? Because we got to at least get a wave from them if they're in the facility.
Yeah, they're around. Shane's sitting right next to me, but he's locked into AIM Labs, and Manny's doing something else right now.
Okay, fair enough.
He waved at me.
All right. Well, I love to hear it, and I mean, TJ, we can go back and forth with questions. We didn't establish that beforehand because it's state of the SEL. It's always scup. So you feel free to ask Mylk anything you like.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
My start was the how's he doing?
Okay, yeah, sure. All right, well, Mylk, one thing that I was really interested to see is that obviously on broadcast that night of finals, it was pretty chaotic, and I think that's an understatement of what we got to witness in the span of 9 games that night. So one of the biggest things that I want to know, and I'll come back to the finals itself, but in semis, did y'all watch that game at all, or were y'all warming up with a different school? Or if you did watch it, what was your reaction to that absolute, I don't want to say mess, but it was a very, very all over the place type of series?
I mean, I wasn't really paying too attention to it because we were playing ETAC versus Concord, so we had to lock in. We didn't have really too much time to look at the series score, really worry about it too much. We were more worried about that series at the time. But I thought Florida was definitely gonna take a game. I was pretty surprised when they didn't at least take a game off of ETSU, especially since ETSU lost pretty early on, and then they struggled against teams like James Madison University. Like if those teams, I feel like they should be beating a little bit more handedly, but. When you see them struggle against those and then they 3-0 Florida, it's kind of interesting. I enjoy watching them battle back.
Okay, first of all, did you guys beat Concord?
No. We only took every single time we played it, we've always usually taken like 2 or 1 game. Our hardest matchup is Concord against any other team, not Northwood. It's Concord. We really struggle against Concord. They got our number.
Makes sense. I mean, they won CRL, so still taking a game or 2 off them is pretty good. TJ knows a little bit about that. But that grand finals, I mean, the chaos of the lower final kind of bled into it. I mean, a 5-4 game 1, 7-4 game 2, 5-2, and then it kind of settled in from there. But East Tennessee State put up a fight against you guys, and I mean, they've looked good recently. But is that form kind of what you were expecting out of them?
I'm not sure what to expect at the ETSU. We don't play them very often, and so our expectations of ETSU is we just play as good as we can. Sometimes we get it wrong, and sometimes we get it right. And today we were kind of getting it. On that day, we were kind of getting a little bit wrong, but they were playing really well. So I don't want to take anything away from them, obviously, because they deserve the games they got. Mistakes that we make, they definitely deserve it. We made it competitive.
I'm going to keep that same theme going, because that's where I was going as well. Game 2, I think, was kind of a fluke for y'all, and I don't want to touch on that. I was more concerned about Game 4. Watching that live, it seemed like that between Game 3 and Game 5, that y'all kind of played like a completely different team. I didn't know if that was something that strategically y'all were trying to do something different, or if it was just kind of another fluke game. I know, Bepic, you were in chat making the joke about after this amount of games, this team would be warmed up. And so if it was that, Mylk, then that's cool too. But I just want to kind of get your insight on Game 2 is fine, but what happened in Game 4?
Honestly, I'm trying to remember the series.
It was 4-1 that game. Yeah, and y'all were up 2-1
that game?
going into y'all were up 2-1 going into Game 4, and then it was 4-1 in that game specifically.
I mean, I'll just talk about what we do whenever we're down. I mean, we just try to figure out what we're doing wrong in the moment, try to figure out our biggest mistakes, what we're letting through, and how to fix it. The moment. That's we do that every single time. No matter. I mean, if we're losing, like if we're barely winning by a goal, we'll also do the same thing. We'll talk about it a little bit. So we should figure out what we're doing wrong. But I'm not sure exactly what the changes were. I don't remember them because after we won, I was like, I just went to sleep. I was really tired. So
That's your celebration. You win an SEL trophy.
Oh, yeah.
And you go straight to sleep.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Where's my trophy?
Love it. What would you say about the trophy?
Oh, I was just saying, that's always my trophy going to sleep.
All right. I respect that. I respect that. Like, that is absolutely a reward after playing Concord and then having to scrap your way through the grand finals. Yeah, sleep is absolutely a reward. And before I go to the next question, shout out Impulse for the raid. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming over from the Impulse stream. Hope it went well. Welcome to State of the SEL, interviewing Brewton-Parker's Mylk right now. But I want to talk about, I mean, you guys as a roster, like, you've gotten a fair amount of experience playing together. I don't know how many semesters in a row you guys have been a roster, the Antics Manny Mylk core. But I mean, CRL experience together, LAN experience, obviously a solid run at DreamHack Atlanta. You guys played at BBB as well, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, solid roster. Like talk me through the dynamic of you three, how that roster works and how you've found the successes. I mean, the top 25 NA CRL squad is nothing to scoff at. So how have you guys gotten there?
I mean, the one thing that we have the best of, out of any other teams, our off game chemistry is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
We're always willing to talk to each other. We can say whatever we want to say. We don't have to worry about like hurting each other's feelings or whatever. Like we just say it in the moment. So that's also really nice. And I mean, the biggest problem we've always had, especially coming from the spring semester when I first joined the team, was our kickoffs were really lacking, and we kind of fixed it. We have some kickoffs that we came up with. We watched pro players, and we started stealing their kickoffs. And once we fixed that area of our game, and then we fixed our positioning a little bit and focused on what we wanted to do as a team, we were able to push through and be able to beat these high ranked teams and stay competitive with pretty much anybody in the league.
All right.
Yeah. I'll keep it going with that, I guess. My next question was going to be more about what are y'all doing in preparation for the spring? Obviously, you guys have earned those rankings. You've had a great fall semester, at least in terms of just about every LAN and opportunity that y'all could have had, especially on the Eastern Coast as well. So looking towards the spring, this doesn't have to be SEL specific, but what are y'all looking to improve? And kind of where is your heart's at in terms of where do you want to be in that top 20, that top 10? Kind of where do you guys want to see yourselves at the end of the spring?
I'd just like to see us improve our floor a lot. The biggest thing we lack is our floor is extremely low, and so we lose to teams that we shouldn't lose to, or we get really close series against worse teams than we would like to admit. And so I would say the biggest thing that personally, I don't know exactly what they're gonna be working on, but for me, I'm really gonna be working on make sure my floor is a lot higher and making sure I can play more consistently. I want to make sure that whenever I'm playing in a series, I don't fluke out or I make big mistakes that cost us games. I want to be more of a consistent rock, if that makes any sense, so I don't have to, worry about, making too many big mistakes during our series in game.
Oh, what's the sign say? Hold on, the
Mylk the goat, I think.
Okay, all right. That's reasonable. That is a reasonable sign. I love it. I respect that. Work on yourself, and it'll translate to a team setting. I mean, you guys have been playing and everything. I forgot you played in the was the Uni Rocketeers World Championship that I streamed. That was a long day. It's a lot of different competitions you guys were seasoning yourselves with. And I mean, there was a moment where over the summer I didn't think that you were part of this Brewton-Parker roster anymore. I want to ask you about the momentary transfer to Cumberland. What happened there? I think that confused a lot of us. Whatever you can talk about, what happened with that?
So I had plans to go to Cumberland, not because this team is bad. It's because of the distance away from my home.
Okay.
So Cumberland was a 20-minute drive away from my house at the time, and so it just made so much more sense to go to Cumberland. I'd have Riley, he's a pretty good teammate, and so I was transferring over there, and then about a month before the semester was about to end, Riley said, okay, well, I don't know if I should say this. Hold on. Riley, let's just say he couldn't stick around there. He really didn't like, I would say one of the players that was there. You could probably piece it together if you know the scene very well, but he doesn't, he really didn't like one of them, and he left to go with Radford because he just couldn't stand it, and I was okay with it. BBC was, welcoming me back. They wanted me to come. They were more than welcome having me back. They wanted me back. So, I decided to come back, because I wanted a competitive roster, and that wouldn't give me that at Cumberland anymore. So that's why I came back to BPC again, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
I'm glad I came back.
Thanks for clearing that up, because that was a story I didn't have all the pieces to. So makes sense now.
Yeah, shout out Coach Stanley. I've never seen a director in collegiate esports take a player back. So that was just really funny. That was really, really funny to see. But that right there, I think, and that's going into my next question, I think it shows the culture, and like you mentioned, that off-screen chemistry that y'all have. What was the dynamic like coming back for that first few weeks when everybody thought you were leaving? Maybe they were looking to bring up Sino or somebody else, and then all of a sudden you guys got to get ready for what would become probably the busiest, again, like I already mentioned, probably the busiest possible semester y'all could have had in terms of tournaments, and like BBB quals were already quickly approaching at that time. So what was that first like kind of transition period like back, or did y'all just immediately hit it off and hit the ground running?
You almost have to go like 2 steps further back, because before when we talk about the Uni Rocketeers thing, because that was the day, pretty much the day I was coming back to Brewton-Parker was the day I was playing that Uni Rocketeers thing. Like it was pretty close around that time period of when I was coming back, and at that time I was also moving houses, so I was moving houses whenever I wasn't playing Rocket League for the Uni Rocketeers thing, and I was moving it, so that was interesting. But the big thing was, I'm trying to remember. The big thing coming back was just, we didn't know what the roster was going to look like. Logan was actually in pretty good form when I came back here, so it was actually pretty competitive, like trying to like stay on the main roster, because he was actually playing really well when I came back the first like week and a half. And we didn't know what the transition period was going to look like or whatever, but it was pretty smooth for the most part. I came back on the main roster pretty quickly. We worked some things out, and in the end I managed to be back on the main roster.
And now you got a trophy, you've got a successful semester under your belt again, and I talked about it, I know I talked about it with you and with the stream, but separately, bringing it all together, the Brewton-Parker, like, top all-time win percentage team now, 85% win percentage in series in the SEL, undefeated in groups, and you've been there for a lot of that. Like, is there anything special that's contributed to that sustained success? Or, I know you guys came in as a, like, off the fall semester last year CRL team, but still, like, it's not easy to have that much success over an extended period of time. Is there any specific reason for all of that?
The culture here is amazing. Whenever we go to LANs or we play with anybody, we're always very... We come into very series with very good minds. We're not, we just play our best. We don't worry about what the other team's doing or what we just figure out what we can do. And a good example of this is like, Agni and Sino. You know who they are. They were at the last championship in the spring. And it was me and them, and we're able to upset teams that we shouldn't be upsetting. Realistically, like, we shouldn't have made it that far at all. But we just have the best, we have the best chemistry. Outside of Rocket League and even inside of Rocket League, we always have good chemistry, and we're able to pull off upsets and able to always make everything competitive because of that. Like having off ball chemistry, just being able to talk to my teammates and stuff like that is very important. I think that's how you find a lot of success in the game.
Yeah, love Rudy, love Sino. I think you guys from top to bottom have signed just about the best personalities in the Southeast, within Georgia easily. You guys have definitely pulled the best people in your program, which makes the talent part that much easier. So that's always really cool to see. I'm going to shift things back to a competitive standpoint. So me and Bepik hinted earlier that we're going to try and recruit some new teams coming in for the spring. And with that, is there anybody within the Southeast that you're potentially worried about joining this spring, knowing that I think we're as far north as, and Bepik, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think our most north team is George Mason?
Yes, West Virginia is the furthest north state, so there are West Virginia teams that could join, but yeah, as far north as West Virginia, I think GMU is the furthest north school that we have at the moment, but yeah.
And Texas is included as well, Mylk.
Yes.
So in that range of things, is there anybody that you're worried about? I think other than Concord, because I don't expect them to join with that full roster. So I guess outside of them, who would you potentially be concerned about?
You have to give me the list of teams. I really don't know. I don't know the teams that well. So you'd have to give me like
Yeah,
give
we
me
can
like
talk
team
about Texas
names.
Arlington. We can talk about Texas Dallas. I think
Who-
those are two big ones that I think we'd love to see. Do you have
Ole
any thoughts on those
Miss.
teams? Yeah, Ole Miss.
Oh yeah, Ole Miss. Yeah, I mean, I
Southern
think
Miss as well.
Southern
yeah,
Miss, yeah.
I think for SEL the biggest thing is trying to get more top talent so that you have way more competitive series, and it's also more enjoyable to watch. You know, people want to watch like higher level gameplay, and so hopefully these other teams will want to come into the scene. And I mean, I'm never nervous about any team we have to face. I mean, I'm just not. I just go in every series just playing the best I can, and I don't worry about like, oh, I have to play Concord today. You know, I'm gonna change my play style. I'm gonna change the way I think. You know, it's just not how we do it. It's not how we do it. We just play the best we can for the most part.
It says a lot about a player when you like don't know the top schools in the region. Like you just show up, play Rocket League. Look, I love it. I want to go over because TJ and I didn't do a like final wrap up of the entire playoff bracket, and like knowing you are the type of player that just shows up and play Rocket League, you can talk more about BPC's run specifically in the SEL playoffs. But I mean, if you did follow the rest of the bracket, was there anything that jumped out to you, or like storylines that you enjoyed seeing unfold? Just like, oh wow, this team made it further than I thought. Anything like that?
I mean, the only team I can think of that stands out is ETSU.
I've got the
Yeah.
bracket up on stream as well. If you deem to look at it.
I think ETSU making the run is like pretty incredible. Like after almost losing and then, you know, them battling back from, you know, match 11 all the way to, you know, all the way back to grand finals is really impressive. But other stories, you know, I mean, I thought UTK was going to do better, but I think they forfeited because of, you know, personal things happening. I mean, those were the main teams. I mean, main teams I was looking at was UTK and, you know, USC surprised us too, actually. That was a surprising match. They played really well.
Can we talk about that? Because that was, you guys had a reverse sweep, right?
It was, yes.
All right, what happened? Did they just come out hot and then you had to pull it back, or what happened there?
Yeah, I remember it vaguely, but I remember like Og playing really well that day. Like he was just on it, and you know we came out a little flat, and then we had to just like okay, we just gotta lock in. We just gotta we cannot be losing this right now. We just gotta lock in, and then we locked in. I mean, managed to reverse sweep them.
Just lock in.
Yeah, that caught a lot of us off guard. I was gonna ask about that if you didn't, Bepic. So what I will ask instead is that you mentioned that ETSU was a surprise, and we talked about this on that finals broadcast about some of the top seeds having less than stellar performances or UTK dropping out. With UTK forfeiting, who would you have expected to see that in terms of actually meeting y'all in Grants?
Ooh. I mean, I'm gonna be real. I've had UNC Charlotte as making it through. Like, I even had them have a chance of even beating UTK even with their full roster. Like, that is an upset potential match. And so I was pretty surprised when they lost like 3-1. I don't know what the series exactly was or what it looked like, but I was pretty surprised. I thought UNC Charlotte was going to make it back.
That was pretty classic SEL, where I was pretty confident in saying that Brewton-Parker, UTK, and UNCC were the obvious top 3 teams, and then only one of those rosters actually made it to top 3. Like that's such an SEL thing to have happen. But fair enough. That's my soapbox about it. I don't really have any more questions specifically. And TJ, you can ask another after I ask this. But like overall, general thoughts on the fall semester, Mylk. Like, how's it been for you? Have you had a good semester? Like returning to Brewton-Parker, competing, obviously winning the SEL, looking fairly good elsewhere. How's it been overall?
I mean, it's been amazing. I've had a good semester so far. You know, I mean, I can talk about the hurricane situation a little bit whenever it came, and it was actually it was a tragedy for our school and everybody around here. However, for me personally, it was amazing. I got to go back home, spend some time with my cats. I love my cats. I love my cats, and so me being able to spend time at home was amazing. Yeah, that was the main highlight for me, was being able to go back home. I love being at my house, being able to spend time with my family. So that's just me though.
I'm glad that y'all made good light out of that situation, because obviously it was very devastating, but I'm glad to hear that y'all A, made it through, and that campus made it through okay, but that B, y'all obviously got to go back home. So that's awesome. All right, I'll ask my last question, and then Bepic, I'll let you kind of take things from there. How's your finals going? I'll put you right on the spot here. How's finals?
I mean, for me, it's actually so easy. I'm so blessed. My classes are just so easy. Like I had my final paper 2 pages long.
Wow.
2 pages, and then I had to take right now. I had to take a 20 question like final quiz or whatever, and they used open book. Like, okay, I could take the 100.
20.
Exactly. It was very. I'm having a very easy time actually. A lot of people are stressing out. I mean, I've talked to like other people in the scene right now that I asked for like doing tryouts stuff like that, and they're just swamped with homework, and I'm just over here chilling. I'm having a good time. So for them, I feel for them, and hopefully they make it through.
All right, so I'm sure, like, as people were watching that interview, they started to like you, and then they thought about all the finals they had when you were making that last comment, and now you probably made just a lot of enemies talking
My
about
bad,
how
on
easy
me.
it is.
A lot of
Oh,
the D1
man,
schools gonna hate that answer.
All right, well, fair enough. That's the end of the interview. Mylk, if you've got any last thoughts, people you want to shout out, anything like that, the floor is yours to conclude the show.
I mean, family isn't watching because I don't really know about any of this, but obviously my family's a huge shout out. They support me in everything I do. The same with my brother, and all of that good stuff.
All right,
Pretty much it for me.
love it. TJ, your final thoughts. This is the last SEL adjacent broadcast of the entire year. We will see you all in 2025, but what are your final thoughts as we close things out?
I'm just blessed to be a part of things, and I know I always say that, but I truly do mean it. A year ago, I was doing community broadcasts in the games that mainstream on SEL couldn't pull up, and I was in Fred's DMs just asking for the chance to do it. And so for my personal story to go from in the fall of last year, just picking up whatever I wanted, mainly the Georgia State games, for those of you who remember the original roster, and then for it to just blossom into an actual casting career. It's been an absolute pleasure, and Fred took a chance on me, and then unfortunately, Bevan, we lost you to your other job temporarily, which kind of similar to what Mylk was saying about tragedy. It was tragedy on that side, but for me, it was awesome. Because for me, I got to actually get raw experience with casting, and I got to kind of be the host of the SEL, and then we lost Foof because he got married. How dare he?
I know.
But getting all that under my belt and getting to kind of run ship during the entire spring, really, and then coming into this fall, actually being like a real staff member, coming off of that LAN as well, it's just been incredible, and it's been so much fun. And now we get a full strength SEL with no rules, no restrictions, varsity level rules and regulations, and we get me and you on the desk. Oh, I can't wait.
All right, love it. I'm glad I stepped down for a year on the booth, so you could hop up, TJ. It's gonna be a lot of fun. For those that don't know, if you again live under a rock, TJ and I are back on in the booth together. We'll be handling the Rocket League broadcasts next semester and for the foreseeable future. We are transitioning to a paid entry model. If you haven't heard about that, you better get on it. Talk to your directors. Paid entry, flat rate of $450, but you get unlimited Valorant, unlimited Rocket League teams. So get everyone to sign up, split those costs if your club won't cover them yourselves, because we want to keep everyone we possibly can competing in the SEL. But we need the paid entry model to keep things functioning. The Southeastern Esports League. CECC partnership. Winner of spring goes to the CECC May Madness LAN. I'll leave it at that. Get here just for that, I tell you what. And then obviously our LAN in the technically summer semester is coming up quick. So make sure you stick around for 2025 SEL. Thank you all for joining us throughout the season, throughout the year. It's going to be a fantastic spring. Enjoy the holidays. Good luck with the finals. Everybody except Mylk. He doesn't need the luck. And we will see you all in the spring. Peace out, everybody.